All right, welcome to our last Hoopcast of the year. Florida season ending today with a thriller over at the Ford Center. Just over there to the right, the Gators are packing up, getting ready to get their charter flight home. Kevin, it was really an entertaining game. Both teams offensively were very good, and you couldn't fault the Gators, maybe fault them for missing the shots and having the chances and not, but the effort was amazing.
Yeah, and especially being down 13 in the second half, they really had potential to be embarrassed. But as this team has done all season, they have fought back, and they really. Kenny Boynton got hot. He had a flurry of three-pointers. He scored 14 straight points on his own, which is ridiculous. I think I have to cut it to 66-63, and then they really had that chance up 74-70. Jackson Emery from BYU hit that huge three, and that allowed him to kind of get back in it. Fredette hits the layup to tie, and second overtime. Florida just ran out of gas. The lack of depth obviously hurting them.
Yeah, and Kenny Boynton fouling out too. Was there like about 3 minutes left in that second overtime? You kind of knew that their chances were going to the bench with him. A couple of guys, some of the writers asked me if I ripped them. I said, I don't rip teams who play hard. I don't rip teams for missing shots. I rip teams when they don't show effort or don't look enthused or don't look excited. This team played its heart out, and Kenny Boynton is a good example. Kevin, it was about 4 minutes ago in regulation. He was over there on the sideline. They come to the timeout. Billy gathered the team. He couldn't even get into the huddle. He was so tired, and was just standing there with his hands on his. And Chandler Parsons sprains his ankle diving for a loose ball and comes back in the game. He's limping around. I'm not going to fault this team. This team got the most out of what it had. Yeah,
and I think they did show some grit there, and it was pretty tough. There were a couple of things, particularly in the first half, I thought, when you try to go inside, and then Vernon Macklin and Eric Murphy get into early foul trouble. That completely throws off your game plan. And obviously the turnovers. You have 21 turnovers. They got 25 points off of those 21 turnovers. That was really the killer. Florida had some. Irving Walker had some instances where he had some drives in the lane that were kind of ill-advised, and little things like that did add up. But like I said, you can't fault Florida for its effort in that game.
No, and they started the second half with 4 turnovers. 4 straight turnovers, got nothing. They got one basket, and then they had 4 turnovers after that. That certainly was. That's what kind of fueled that run for BYU. And you look at Irving Walker and you wonder, they've got to figure out he can't be a 44-minute guy like he was today, because at his size, it's just not going to work. They need to figure out something, whether it's moving Boynton there, if they end up getting Brandon Knight, if they get another point guard. He can't be their 34 to 35-minute point guard next year. I don't think they can be really good with him there.
Well, Billy talked about after the game addressing the guard depth and getting another handler, so I think that's probably going to be done through recruiting, whether it's Brandon Knight or somebody else.
I think it's going to be Rod Tishman.
No, I don't think it's going to be him, or certainly not Ray Shipman, unfortunately, because he doesn't handle the ball well enough, even though he's a decent 2-guard. But I just think it's going to be a situation where they're going to have to be a little creative and hope to get the other point guard and take the pressure. I think personally that Irving is probably a little bit better off the ball, as a shooter.
But I think
and he probably shoots better off the ball as well.
I think he's like a 12-minute, give you a spark, and his quickness hurt BYU early in the game. But some of those drives were just he would have been better off shooting from half court than driving in trying to shoot over a big guy and getting it blocked. But again, I'm not being critical of this team. They got Florida back into the national picture, which was so important. They didn't, I mentioned in my column, it was so different from that 01 to 05 run where they were getting knocked out the first weekend, whether it was first or second round. Because after those games, you go, what happened, you guys? Where were you? Why didn't you show up? You didn't feel that way. You feel like this wasn't the end of something. It was kind of the beginning. I think we're about to see Florida be in the NCAA tournament for a while. I don't know how many years, maybe not 9, but certainly for several years to come.
And in talking to most of the players after the game, most of them said they're going to be back. Alex Tice, Vernon Macklin, Chandler Parsons. So when you've got that nucleus together, they're all going to be seniors. That's a pretty good starting front court to work with. And if you can, get Patrick Young coming in and Casey Prey, there'll be another defensive presence. If you can get 1 or 2 more guards into the fray that can be productive, then you'll have that depth. I think that you'll need to compete in the SEC and get to that 10 to 11 win mark. Right now they're kind of at that 9 win mark. They can get to that and get a higher seed in the tournament, get a better matchup. Then who knows what happens?
Yeah, and with this team, all year their weakness has been their depth. That's been one of them. Another one has been their perimeter defense at times. You never know what you're going to get. But the funny thing is, they give up 99 points. I thought they played really good defense today.
Well, Fredette scored 8 points in the second overtime session when they were gassed. So really, Fredette, they really, when Boynton was on him, they did a good job containing him. But once Boynton got out of the game, stretches when Boynton was not playing, you could tell Fredette, just kind of licked his chops and really took advantage of the other personnel in the court. And that's where, like you said, you need maybe a Casey Prather or someone comes into play, a second defensive option to try to shut down the best defensive player.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The funny thing about Fredette is he made one jump shot before double overtime. One jump shot, and he had 31 points. I mean, it was amazing. He just kept taking to the lane and making layups, but he didn't really shoot well from anywhere else. But he's a good player. I don't think he's an NBA player, but he's a really good college basketball player. He'd be good in the SEC, I can tell you.
Yeah, no question. It has a little bit of Clayfus in him, and it's just his game and the scoops and the drives, and I think is very entertaining to watch. I mean, I think all in all, it was a very entertaining game to watch, and Florida certainly, Chandler Parsons has that 12-footer over a guy. I mean, it's a shot that you want in the first overtime. Second overtime session, Boynton got a little rattled there. He had three guys around him. He had the guys open underneath the basket, but it was kind of an errant pass, and all they could do was try to tip it in. And you look back at those two possessions, and you say, "Do you think he's what could have been?" I'm sure they're going to be thinking about it all summer, but maybe that's something that motivates them and fuels them going into next season.
I think of what could have been if Warner just caught it and put it up, because he had time and he didn't realize it. But again, I'm not going to fault a guy for wondering how much time is left and just trying to get the ball towards the basket, and maybe it goes in and you win the game. But certainly for these Gators, a quick in and out at the NCAA tournament. They got us here. They got us to Oklahoma City. And I got to be honest, this was a fun team to cover at times. There were times when they were maddening.
Yeah.
But overall, a lot more fun than the last two teams.
Yeah, and again, doing more with less, I think, this year than they have in the past. And I think that it'll be interesting to see how they kind of build upon it in the future and if they can continue to make progress.
Well, the Gators over there, they're going home tonight. We're going home in the morning, and Gainesville's never looked so good. Not that I have anything against this town, but I've been on the road a long time, it seems like. Looking forward to Karen. Karen's birthday's tomorrow. Happy birthday to Karen.
Great.
And looking forward to seeing Kelsey as well. And that's going to do it. We're done with basketball season for another season, not for another year, because obviously November.
October only.
Now we get to go back and watch spring practice. Talk about Tim Tebow's throwing motion.
Or watch the rest of the NCAA tournament too. It should be fun.
Yeah, that is the one silver lining. Is it Saturday and Sunday? We're off.
Yeah.
We can just sit and watch basketball.
Tough day for the SEC, by the way. Murray State, over
luckily
Vanderbilt.
Kentucky's killing East Tennessee State. The 1-16 matchup.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's going to do it. We appreciate everybody for watching. Kevin Brockway, Pat Dooley saying so long from OKC.